Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Dumbstruck Husband. Me, 35 male, with my wife, 33 female of 9 years, wants to give up our daughters for adoption. My wife and I have been together since college and got married a little while after she graduated. When we first got together, she told me she didn't really like kids, and while I was a little disappointed, I didn't care too much about it. I didn't feel very strongly about it either way. We were very in love and things were perfect for a good while. Her birth control failed 6 years ago, and I told her that I would support whatever choice she made. She scheduled a termination but backed out the day before, and we became loving and enthusiastic parents. Later on down the road, she decided she wanted another child, and so we had our second daughter. They are 5 and 3 years old and absolutely perfect. They are both very well behaved and ahead of the curve for kids their ages. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that my wife is a stay-at-home mom. My job is very demanding and I am out of town for week-long stretches at a time once a month, and then 9 to 6 the rest of the month. I've had this schedule since we were married, basically. I make good money, in the low 6 figures, and we've never had any kind of financial struggles. For the past few months, I've known something was up with my wife. She is obviously the primary caretaker of our daughters, but recently she's been completely hands-off when I'm at home. I don't mind spending the extra time with my daughters, taking care of them, but it's more than that. She will completely ignore them while I'm around. If they ask her for anything at all, she tells them, "Go ask daddy," and will go into our bedroom and lock the door to get away from them. I've been asking her if she's alright, and she had been insisting everything was fine until last night. After we put the kids to bed, she came to me and sat me down at the table. She started talking about fun things we had done right after we got married. What a great adventure everything had been, just generally reminiscing. She was being sweet and funny and loving, and my guard was down. She said, "Back before we had the girls, we could do anything we wanted. I wish we could go back to that." I asked her what she meant, and after much prodding, she admitted that she regretted having kids. I said that there were times where I felt overwhelmed too, but that I would always love our daughters. She got quiet. She mumbled something and I asked her to say it again, and she yelled, "I don't love them," and then started sobbing. I sat there with my mouth hanging open. She composed herself and then started talking again. She was saying how she had been looking into adoption agencies and foster care. She had contacted one agency already. She was making plans to give away my children. I continued to listen, too dumbfounded to say a word as she babbled on about how amazing it's going to be to have our lives back, how great our relationship will be when we don't have kids anymore. I didn't know what to do. I let her talk herself out, and when she went to bed, I went and got my babies, packed some things, and drove to my mother's house. I called in sick to work today. I told them I'd probably be out for the rest of the week. I have a ton of missed calls, voicemails, and texts from my wife. I haven't looked at any of them. I've spent the day talking to my mom about things and keeping the girls occupied. My mom doesn't know what to do either. I'm thinking I have a couple of options. Start calling lawyers or start calling mental health professionals. Maybe both. I don't know if she's having some kind of psychotic delusion or if she's just that awful of a person. I really don't want to go back home to her now. Ever. I'm thinking divorce is the best choice, but I can't take care of my kids on my own. What should my next move be? Should I try to call my wife? What? She's contacting adoption agencies to get rid of her kids? I'm sorry, but this has to be some sort of mental health crisis. I can't honestly believe that somebody in their right mind would take actions into giving away their kids because they missed the life that they had before the kids arrived. And of course I understand that children can be overwhelming. I'm pretty sure I was overwhelming when I was a kid, and sometimes it happens to me, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give my kids away for that. It comes with the parenting experience. And on that note, yes, we know that she wanted to be child-free when she was in college, but then she's the one that made the choice to not go through with the termination, and she's the one that asked to have the second baby or started the talks regarding having a second child. Maybe I'm missing a big part of the picture because I love my kids a lot and I would never give them up for anything in the world. So that's why I think OP should start talking to mental health professionals. I guess I'm just as dumbfounded as OP in this case. What about you guys? What do you think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Joker's Harlequin says, okay, I'm going to get downvoted to hell and back, but I think she's completely at fault here. Yes, she may need professional help. Yes, she may be burnt out, but for God's sake, she already called an agency behind OP's back. She's already started the steps towards getting rid of their children. Right now, he needs to make sure his children are safe and together with him. His wife made a decision to not have the first abortion, and she wanted to have a second child. She's now making the decision to get rid of their children because she regrets it. I understand that she's overwhelmed, that she may be completely burnt out, or that she may have never wanted children. But the fact that she took that step without speaking to her husband about it beforehand is sickening. And then continued on to talk about how their lives will go back to the way it was before and all the stuff they could do. OP, please look after your children. Once they are safe and out of the equation, please help your wife seek the help she needs. Indale47 says, I don't know what's up with people in here. A woman goes behind her husband's back to call an adoption agency and everyone is jumping on him? Yes, she needs help. But also, yes, he did the right thing in packing the kids up and taking them to his mother's. The children come first and foremost. Bucky 2015 says, how are people jumping down on OP's throat and completely overlooking the fact that his wife contacted an effing adoption agency to inquire about giving away their kids? Okay, so those were 3 of the most upvoted comments on this post. And apart from all the support that they're giving OP, a lot of them spoke about people jumping on OP's throat and stuff like that, which got me curious about the other comments. So I went looking and I saw a lot of people deleted their comments because they were getting downvoted. But I also found some of the comments that were against OP. So just to give you a bit of context on the comments, here are 2 examples of the ones that are against OP. Shadowban Hands says, maybe you should pull your head out of your ass and help your wife before she goes all Susan Smith on your children. Take time off from work, hire a damn nanny. I hope your job was worth this. Ulborgia says, I can't believe that you looked at your wife breaking down in front of you and you turned your back on her. And those are just 2 examples that people didn't delete because they were very much downvoted. I had to go way down in the comment section to find those. Anyways, just wanted to give you guys some context. Now let's get back to the story. Additional information from OP's comments. It's not like I forced her to have kids. She chose not to have an abortion, and she herself chose to have a second child. She approached me about it. She was so happy when I said, yeah, let's do it. She never asked for any help. She didn't let on that things weren't perfect until the last few months when I repeatedly asked her if things were okay. She bottled up her feelings until she was ready to give up our kids, and she was making real plans about it behind my back. She's not at home all the time with them. They go to pre-kinder for 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. My mom takes them pretty much every other weekend. She gets a lot of time to herself, even though it could be more. And on nights when I'm home, she goes out with her friends often. Lately, when I'm home, she doesn't see the kids at all. It's still possible that she's overwhelmed. She was talking about them like they were dogs we could take back to the pound. Oops, we made a mistake. Let's just give them back and go back to how things were before we did that. Like, they were minor annoyances that she didn't feel like dealing with anymore. Honestly, I feel like her response to this situation was completely out of line and nearly unbelievable, and I'm not sure I want to continue a relationship with someone who considers giving away her kids before even asking for help. She has consistently denied that anything was wrong and apparently put up a front to make me think that she wasn't struggling. OP's edit. We've both always been pretty low libido. I would say we have sex once a week and we try to have a date night every other week, leaving the girls with my mother. We are very affectionate towards each other. She graduated with an art degree. When we first got married, she was working as a teacher. She taught English and art in a local high school. She hated it, and she quit when she was pregnant with our first. She has a studio in our house. Basically an extra bedroom with all of her art stuff in it that the kids aren't allowed in. And she paints when the kids are out of the house. She feels like her degree is useless, but told me she wasn't interested in going back to school. We used to pay for a weekly maid service, but my wife decided she didn't want to spare the expense. Okay, so now that we are absolutely caught up with all of the information available in the first post, let's move on with the first update. I second-guessed myself a little after the initial responses I was getting from my first post. I didn't expect anybody to side with my wife. I should have given more information from the start, but I didn't realize all that stuff would be relevant. I thought that the fact she was trying to adopt out our kids without my knowledge, people would realize that the issue was with her. I'm not trying to say I'm perfect by any means, but I took a lot of unwarranted criticism. Anyway, after I elaborated on our situation a little more, I got a ton of helpful advice and support. Thank you to everyone who commented or sent me a PM. I took a lot of the advice to heart, and then a lot of really crazy crap has happened. I'm in the process of finding a live-in nanny now, and I appreciate everyone who suggested it. Yesterday I contacted a lawyer for divorce, and then bit the bullet and called my wife. One of my close friends lives a few houses down, so I explained the situation and had him on standby. I left my daughters with my mom and came back to the house to meet her. She was absolutely furious. The first words out of her mouth were, "Where the F have you been, you piece of crap?" When I got to the house, she berated me for leaving without saying a word to her or answering the phone. She accused me of cheating on her, called me a pig and an a-hole, and ranted for a good 15 minutes straight. She didn't say a word about the kids, didn't ask me where they were or if I had taken them. It's like she had forgotten they existed. I cut her off, told her where I had been, and that I had taken the girls to my mother's house. She seemed caught off guard. She asked me why. I explained to her that the way she had talked about adopting them out was not acceptable, and since she didn't care about them, I didn't think they were safe around her. She blinked and said, word for word, "Wait, you want to keep them? Don't you love me?" I lost it. I'm not proud of it, but I couldn't hold it together, Reddit. It devolved into a screaming fight with me telling her she was effing insane and her yelling that I didn't love her. I went through the house and packed up all my valuables and personal documents, with her screaming her head off at me the whole time. My friend came in to try and calm her down, but she threw a plate at him and told him to get the F out. At this point, I called the cops. She dug her hole deeper by punching one of the cops and then biting the other one once she was cuffed. I am now 100% certain that she's having some kind of psychotic break. She will be evaluated soon, but either way, I'm going through with the divorce. I doubt I'll have any trouble getting full custody, especially with that call to the adoption agency on her phone records. After my wife was arrested, I cleaned up the house and brought my daughters back home. They haven't asked where mommy is yet, but I don't know what to tell them when they do. I'm looking into taking a lower responsibility role at work, at least to where I'm not gone for a whole week at a time. I will still be heavily reliant on a nanny, but I can't stand the thought of my daughters not having a parent there to put them to bed every night. Additional information from OP's comments. I am absolutely heartbroken. When I was picking up the broken pieces of the plate that my wife threw at my friend, it hit me what had happened. The woman I loved, the one that I chose to be my life partner, is gone. It hurts, and I have been constantly on the verge of falling apart the whole time. I have a good support network. My mom and my friend both gave me good advice, and my lawyer basically coached me on what to do in certain situations when I met with her. Also, I will change the locks today and look into getting security cameras. She's always had a pretty bad temper. I am a pretty laid-back guy, so most of the time I'd let her fizzle out and then we would talk about what was wrong. I asked her to go to anger management therapy shortly after we were married because she seemed to be going off on every little thing. She didn't want to, but she made an effort to curb her temper to an acceptable level. When we had our second, I made her go because she was starting to have trouble holding her temper around my older daughter. It helped a lot, and she stopped going when she said she was better. OP's edit. Growing up, my father was a schizophrenic, and while he had his good days, he had awful days as well. It affected me deeply growing up, and he eventually ended his life. I'm not interested in waiting around for her to get better if it turns out that she is mentally ill, and I don't want my daughters to have to go through what I did. Even if she gets treatment, it will be a constant worry for me. If she had cancer or some other illness, it wouldn't affect her love for our daughters. I wouldn't have to worry that she would murder them or abandon them or hurt them when I wasn't around. That's the difference. Another thing, a mental illness would explain her actions, but not excuse them. I don't think I can forgive her for not loving our daughters and trying to give them away, even if it turns out that she was in a fragile state of mind. Edit 2. I called my mom and she said she told my daughters that their mommy had to go on a trip for a while. That's why they haven't asked about her so far. Wow, that took a really dark turn. The wife got arrested and OP is trying to handle this whole thing. So now let's move on to the final update to see how this whole story ends. It's been a good while since my last update, over 2 months, but things are progressing, so I figured I'd post something. My wife has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She is undergoing extensive therapy and trying to work out her legal issues as well. I'm still not sure what direction that is going to take. My wife's parents have been helping her with legal arrangements as she refuses help from me and didn't even want to use my insurance to help with her medical bills. She ended up having to anyway, and I've been sending money to her parents to help with paying what's left over. We mutually decided to go ahead with the divorce. She didn't want custody of our daughters or even visitation. I practically begged her to at least come to their birthdays and holidays, but she said no. I'm hoping that it's a symptom of her illness and that once she progresses through her treatment enough, she will change her mind, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I found a wonderful au pair who is fantastic with my daughters. According to her, they are very self-sufficient and don't need much help with keeping themselves entertained or anything really. That assessment makes me suspect my wife had been ignoring the girls even when I wasn't around. They've been constantly asking me when mommy is coming back and I don't know what to tell them. I have to try really hard to not cry in front of them because I don't want them to worry about me. We've been going to family therapy together but still haven't found a way to explain that mommy might never come back. Or she may show back up and not be nice. Or she may show back up and be her old self again. My friend, the one she threw a plate at, and his wife and kids have been hanging out at my place a lot to keep us all company. He's been a godsend through this whole experience. He decided not to press charges against my wife for the plate thing. This will probably be my last update. The feedback I've gotten from you guys has really helped to ground me during these events. Even just getting validation that I'm not crazy helped. Thanks for everything, Reddit. And that's it. That was OP's last post and he did not put any comments with any more information. So this is the whole thing. I feel sorry for those kids and the situation that OP is in, that he needs to explain to such young children that their mommy has issues and may not be the same person they knew. Honestly, putting myself in OP's shoes, I'd probably be just as lost. But the good thing is that they are going to family therapy, so hopefully that'll help out and give him enough tools to be able to navigate this whole situation. So all there's left to say, OP, is I wish you and your girls all the best in the world for the future. Take care and thank you for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.